Hey, what's up, everybody? BO44 coming at you with another video. All right, there's no Laker news at all. Nothing that I can think of. But I did come here declaring that I'm ready for basketball, man. I do not care for my birthday month at all. As a Laker fan, as a sports fan in general, I am thankful that I was born in August, so there would be some reason for August to exist. But if I wasn't born in August and I didn't have so many fantastic family members and friends that have a birthday in August, I would want this month removed from the calendar. You can go from July to September and get straight to basketball. I wouldn't remove September because my mom's birthday is in September, so we keep that. But I'm telling you, man, this is the worst month because we don't have summer league. Every 4 years you have the Olympics, but the Olympics are usually done by now, even though I was actually born during the Olympics, or like the last 2 days of the Olympics. My mom was in labor or something like that in LA when the Olympics was in LA, ironically. So I am an Olympic baby. 84 was the year, and it's going to be in LA in 4 years again. So that's really cool. But yes, I'm ready for NBA basketball, man. I am. I'm ready for some basketball. We got the schedule out now, and we're in that weird space right also where you can't draft in some of your favorite fantasy basketball leagues. Like ESPN allows you to draft in June, which is something I really appreciate, by the way, as a draft fantasy draft fanatic. But like some of my other sites, they don't let you start drafting until the end of the month. So, for example, Yahoo, you can start drafting on the 22nd of this month. So, it's one of those situations where it's like, all the stuff I love to do, we're slap dead in the middle of where literally I can't do none of the stuff I love to do when it comes to basketball. You just got to live without it. I saw photos of Bron and Draymond Green out somewhere celebrating, partying, enjoying the summer. I wouldn't have it any other way. That's why I hope my favorite basketball players are enjoying their summer, and coaches don't think for 1 second that I want y'all to rush back. This is the time of year when you guys do what you love to do outside of basketball, and I think that is so important. I was really happy to see Bron living it up, listening to Drake music, which I thought was very deliberate and important for him to display that he still got love for Drake, because of course he was seen singing "They Not Like Us," which is a Drake diss that we will never forget, and the song of the summer. So it's a lot of energy there that, I think Bron was trying to show Drake, hey man, I don't hate you, bro. I just sing the song like everybody else. But nevertheless, man, that was what they were doing. They were listening to some music on a boat, and it looked like they were having a great time, living it up. And that's what it's all about, man. They don't get a lot of time to do that. So it's funny because they're basketball players making all the money in the world, but how often do they get to enjoy life while they're playing basketball, as it pertains to the things outside of basketball? They spend most of their lives in planes and hotels and answering questions from the media and the expectations of basketball throughout the course of the season. And in some summers, there's free agency, and you go through trade rumors midway through the season for a lot of guys. Just looking at it from the outside looking in, it doesn't look like it's a whole lot of fun some of the time for a lot of our favorite basketball players and role players and some of these guys. It's a lot of stress that comes with the game. Yeah, it's a lot of money, but there's also big bills as well, can make it so that it seems like you're not as wealthy as you may be in some cases. But all in all, man, I just think that this is the hardest for the fans. We are not able to really interact. For those of us who make content, we're scrambling for things to talk about. Some of my favorite Laker content people, I have to not listen to them this month because they're making stuff that I don't want to hear. Trying to dig into the crates to try to find content, and they really don't have nothing to talk about. And so as somebody who's also in this space, I can say, keep doing it, because I'm not against you. I'm just not the brain to listen to conversations that are hard to listen to, which is not involving basketball player or transactions and stuff like that. And of course, the NBA has made it difficult to have transactions and trades and stuff like that because of the apron era we're in. So that makes it even harder to find things to talk about during the off season. So that's also something I'm hoping that the NBA will amend a little bit, get it back to a little more freedom of movement for teams, so that we can have more trade opportunities and more transactions and more super teams. I know people don't like super teams per se, but we do like seeing basketball players move around a lot. And of course, that caters to their stress, so I'm pretty sure they wouldn't agree with that. But as a talking head, I like trades, man. I think most of us do. So I would love to see this era be moved on from. But I saw that Trevor Lane did a couple of good interviews that I have yet to see. One with Emile Traoré, my favorite young undrafted rookie for our Lakers this upcoming season. I did homework on him and talked about him a lot right after the draft process, and think he's going to be probably the next best thing that we've never heard of that wasn't drafted for our franchise. I think he's going to be special. His little brother is going to be like the top 5 draft pick next year, as we know as well. So I think it's going to be not long before people know of the Traoré family, and we got first dibs on the first player coming out of France there. So I think he can help us a lot. I saw his 3-ball fall in the summer league once or twice, so that's encouraging because that's a big weakness of his. And all in all, I just think that we're in a space where people are going to learn about that particular player. And so I saw he did an interview with Ice Cube. I haven't seen that one yet. And of course, another interview with a young guy that we just picked up as well from Xavier. I wish his name would come to mind right now, but he went to Xavier College and played in our summer league as well. He did an interview with that guy. So, stuff like that is interesting to look at. Try to carry us over into the season, and that's really what it is. I don't see myself kind of evolving into an interviewee. It's never been my forte to really sit down with anybody or talk to anybody, but who knows what the future would hold for myself. But in the meantime, I just like to talk solo and give my little 2 cents without being an insider. I'm not necessarily interested in trying to work my way into the insider game. I think part of the fun for me is not knowing what's going on, speculating, and then trying to figure out if I'm right or not. That's what I like. I think there's insiders are important. They're a tool for people like myself, and we can go to them, get the information, and then speculate. But that's what I like to do. But man, I mean, all in all, I really came here to say I didn't have anything to say. I think that's really where we're at. I want my basketball back. I want to talk Laker basketball every day, twice a day, 3 times a day, and when there's something to look at, I'm there. You know what I mean? And this upcoming season, we'll have plenty to talk about, as we always do, so long as I'm able to keep a phone in my face. I'm going to be talking about this team throughout the course of the season. And I just want to tap in with everybody and let you guys know that I'm having a hard time through August, waiting for basketball to come back and waiting for Laker basketball to be played. I think, if I'm being honest with everybody, I'm a little more excited about this upcoming season than I was going into last season. I did not like last year's team that much as a whole. I wasn't a big fan of some of the stuff that was going on, even though I thought we had a pretty good team. I think last year's team maybe as good as this year, or maybe a little better than this year's team, but I still am more excited about this upcoming season than I was last year. I just feel like what helps for me is knowing that some of these younger players are getting more seasoned, they're getting older, and that's a good thing. Get a little more experience, probably likely to be more trusted this upcoming season. I'm more excited about our rookie situation this year than I was going into last year, because I wasn't a Jalen Hood-Schifino fan. Of course, it didn't pan out well, but just going into it, it was a letdown for me having him. I feel the complete opposite about Dalton Knecht. Very excited about Dalton Knecht. I do have concerns about his piece defensively, as we say every time we talk about him. But offensively, I think he's going to be a lethal weapon. I think he's going to be better than people think, to be honest with you. And I think he's going to be a contributor right away. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's our leading scorer in some games very soon. Very soon. I think he's going to help right away. I could be wrong, but some people are just natural scorers, and some people can really string together a lot of points really quickly and in flurries. And I think Dalton Knecht's ceiling is that of somebody who's going to be a lethal weapon scorer, probably averaging 20, 22 points a game. Um, you know, I think his ceiling, and I know this is kind of nuanced in the sense that the player that I'm thinking about helps in other areas defensively, has long arms, that kind of thing. But I think Dalton Connect can turn into like a Chris Middleton. I think he can be Chris Middleton. Not defensively, because Chris does have defensive intangibles, but offensively, that's, as I've been giving some thought, that's kind of who I think he's going to turn into. He's going to be like Chris Middleton. Um, Capable of putting up a lot of points. Hopefully stays a lot more healthy. But like lethal score from 3 levels, getting into the paint, dunking the ball, athleticism is there. He's actually probably a little more explosive than Chris Middleton, to be honest with you. Middleton's such a phenomenal shooter from the 3-ball, shooter from the mid-range, dribble, pull-up, stuff like that. I don't know that he attacks the same way as Chris Middleton, but I do expect for his shooting numbers to be pretty good, and for him to be a go-to bucket getter over the next several years as he develops. As an older rookie, probably more ready to help us now than maybe some would be. So that's what I think he's going to turn into, man. Offensively, Chris Middleton, something like that, some reliable scorer, maybe even be a part of a championship situation with a strong role as a starter. I think he can be that player. I don't know if he makes an all-star team, but maybe. Like, he's that lethal of a scorer, and I don't think people really know that. He could have been drafted as high as 5, you guys, albeit in a draft that is expected not to be top-heavy. So in most seasons, he probably would go in the range that we drafted him in most drafts, but I'm a believer in Dalton Connect's offensive game, man. Scoring the ball specifically, and he can play make a little bit. I think this is going to be a very lethal scorer. So I wouldn't be surprised if his impact on this team is substantial. And if it is, we can keep him healthy. I think our teams could be more exciting just off the strength of having him on it, if I'm being completely honest with you. And I expect for him to create more gravity than we had at the small forward spot last year using Taurean Prince, who's now with the Bucks. I think Taurean's probably more consistent three-point shooter, probably a much better defensive player, even though Taurean wasn't great. He's better than Dalton in that way. But offensively, in terms of 3-level scoring and stuff like that, I do think that Dalton could probably give you more volume, more looks, more reliable in everywhere but the three-point line. And even though Dalton's a good, if not potentially great three-point shooter, I just think that Taurean Prince is one of the best spot-up three-point shooters I think we've had, period. Like, he really consistently hit that shot, and that comes from over years and years and years of being up in that role, that corner three. I don't expect that we will get the consistency from that from Dalton in his rookie season, but he will be able to probably score more, all in all, score more. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about Dalton Connect, and I just wonder what, I'm also more excited about this upcoming season because cut and dry, and I know this is low-hanging fruit. I think a lot of Laker fans feel the exact same way. We got new coaching, man. We got new coaching, an opportunity for us with JJ Redick. I don't know if it's better. I'm not certain. It's obviously, but I was really ready to move on from our previous coaching situation the beginning of last year, and since we didn't do that, I was not as excited. That was really a big part of the frustration for myself. I was already out on Darvin Ham, so going in with JJ Redick, I'm in on JJ Redick's potential. I like JJ Redick's mind, so I think the opportunity for us to see good basketball out there is probably pretty high. And I think there's some eagerness to get started and some optimistic curiosity, if that's a way to describe it, to where you're excited because you don't know what you're getting, but you think that it could potentially be good. So that's kind of what it is for me this upcoming season. And then you got guys like Troy, as we mentioned, Bronny James, who I know is out there working hard in the offseason. I'm seeing footage of him working on his craft, which is all it's about for young Bronny James. We want him to just put in the hours and love the work, man. Your dad tells all of us that you are not afraid of doing the work and that you're eager to put in the work, and that's all I can ask. I'm not asking him to come in and be his dad or anything close to that. I'm just asking him to put in the work that anyone would need to put in to be the best that they can, to utilize their tools the natural gifts that he's been given as an athlete. Um, he's already got a fantastic body for a guy that's 6'2". He's stronger than most rookies. He looks more defined than most rookies. He almost reminds me of how Josh Hart looked when he first came in. Just completely solid, made out of stone. You can count on Bronny James holding his own, even though he's 6'2", because he's going to be athletic and strong enough to do so. And I don't think he plays like he's 6'2". I think he's going to play more like he's 6'5". Out there defensively, he's going to help us and things like that. So I want to see him work on his handle. I want to see him get confident shooting the ball. I want him to understand, as it seemed like he was starting to near the end of the summer league, that scoring the ball is going to be his ticket through the NBA. And I need him to already absorb all of the negative thoughts that are going to come from all these talking heads who are going to zero in on him and hate him because of obvious reasons that are coming with the name. But at the end of the day, if he wants to really make it as a player, and it's going to be the work that he puts in and being attentive to his coaches, you know, and that includes his father, obviously. But being attentive to those who know what to do and are going to lead him in the right direction, and then being in the moment out there, you know, not thinking too much about the bigger picture, but just take care of each and every possession. And if he works on being present in the moment from possession to possession, puts enough good possessions together, it will buy him some playing time and buy him a role on this team. Everybody's expecting him to be whatever they're expecting him to be. Some expect him to be great because of his dad. Some of them expect him to be nothing for that same exact reason, but and everything that came with him coming in. But at the end of the day, I think the young player has some things that he can bring to the table that an average guy ain't going to be able to do. I think that's proven with his athleticism, his ability to leap, play defense. And he's just got to have to work on his shot making. And I want him to be confident as a point guard. I know he's not a point guard, but I want our coach to put the ball in his hands at times. I want the G League to put the ball in his hands in ways that the summer league coaching was not willing to do. I thought we missed an opportunity to teach him how to be a floor general. I think that the passing gene comes to him naturally, given who his father is, one of the greatest passers to ever play. I think that turning him into a playmaker is probably a ticket to opening up a lot of different other things for him out there. Scoring the ball should be an emphasis for his mindset, the confidence to be a volume scorer, but not a volume shooter, if that makes any sense. Where he goes 0 for 8 and all of that, finding balance to shift away from when the shot isn't falling. And then on nights when the shot isn't falling, you know, putting in the work after the game. You know, staying in the gym a couple extra hours on the nights where you go 0 for 5, 0 for 6, to put in the work and get that muscle memory going. So his hard work, his intentions to detail, attention to detail, and his intentions on focusing on that will carry that young player. And you know, we're gonna be asking him to do some things this upcoming season and in the future. From there, he's on a 4-year contract, guaranteed. I want to see his development soar in the right direction. I think he's going to be good for the locker room. I already see that he has synergy with the guys that were in the summer league. They seem to like him, even though the circumstances surrounding him may not have been great. Just like his dad, people like him as a person. Maybe just not the circus that comes with it. So that's something he's going to navigate very well, I believe, just like his pops. And you know, I think Bronny's somebody to also be optimistically excited, I guess is the word I use, about. Just like Coach J.J. Redick, I think we could end up getting more out of him than maybe we think. And so that's what I got to say about young Bronny. I'm happy he's here. I think he's going to be a good player for us down the road. And early on, if he's as intentional on putting in the work, he may be able to help us near the end of the season. Near the end of the season, he might actually have a role on this team. It's up to him, though. So that's really what I see there. Jalen Hood-Schifino, bringing him back. We have not traded him. I'm not upset about that. I talk about it all the time, but I want to see him get out there. I want to see what he can do. I want to see him be asked to do what it is that he does. Pick and roll, mid-range shooter, playmaker for others, helpful defensively, big guard. Yeah, I want to see Jalen Hood-Schifino turn into his best self as a Laker. I know we should have drafted other people. There's never going to be a day where I don't remember that. But at the end of the day, this is a young rookie, left for a second-year guy, but extremely young, and he has a lot of wiggle room to grow with his size as a point guard, with his natural-born ability to play make, his good handles in pick-and-roll situations, his instincts. I think this is somebody who can help us. We just got to be patient with him, just like we got to do with everybody else who's young on this team. Colin Castleton's another guy that I'm zeroing in on because our center position is kind of weak, I guess you could say, and I think the opportunity for him to get some minutes out there early and throughout the course of the season is real. They have not taken him off that two-way contract. I think that's a mistake. I don't believe we have better options at the center position right now than Colin Castleton, if I'm being completely honest with you. He probably is our best center. With respect to Jackson Hayes, who's solid, and respect to Christian Wood, who's coming back from knee injury, I don't know that I trust either one of those guys going forward as much as I expect to be able to trust Colin. So Colin showed me some good things in the summer league, and that makes me think he should probably be given some real minutes this year. And I think that J.J. Redick will likely use more common sense as it pertains to utilizing players that have higher upside than maybe some other guys who are capped off and just solid role players. I expect for our role players who really aren't that talented to do a lot more sitting this year, and the guys who were expected to be higher upside players to get more time on the floor. I really hope that's how this equates. And another guy I'm eager to see this year is D'Angelo Russell. I think D'Angelo Russell's value, the expectations, the settling into people thinking he's not going to be able to play in the playoffs, I think this is the lowest expectations D'Angelo Russell has ever started the season with. The lowest expectations he's ever started the season with. And for a guy who has the gifts that he has, him exceeding those low expectations, assuming health, is imminent. Like literally imminent. You guys hear me talk a lot about players who hold value in the NBA fantasy basketball. That's how I tend to be able to gauge certain things from my perspective. Who has fantasy relevance? Some of the guys that a lot of people like a lot, in fact, people they want to trade D'Angelo Russell for, have less fantasy relevance than D'Angelo does. D'Angelo Russell will not be found on the waiver wire. Okay? Like, that's the reality of D'Angelo Russell. If you're trying to find him, you better draft him. You don't expect him to be on the waiver wire very often. Less than 10% of the time should you see him in the pool of players you can pick from. He's going to be on a roster. Guys like that can do a lot more for you than what it is people are saying in regards to D'Angelo Russell going into the season. I know everybody's down on him, but just like any other player in a situation where they are on a one-year contract playing for a contract, you expect that they're going to come in looking to earn their money and looking to gain a certain level of value that they may not have. He's playing for a contract. He's a guy who's going to be 30 years old soon, I think. Probably reaching 30 this year or something like that. He's somewhere in there. It would behoove him and anybody else in his situation to be auditioning with this particular season. When you know that you're going to be a free agent at the end of the year, there's no opt-in for nothing and your value's on the toilet, you need to have a career year. Now, a lot of people are down on him in the sense that they probably don't expect for him to respond well to that type of stuff. He may not necessarily do that just because you need him to. But I also recall during the trade deadline where he was playing some of the best basketball we had ever seen him play, and people who were talking about trading him suddenly were on the bandwagon saying they believe in him again. Oh, I'm on the board with D'Angelo. D'Angelo's a fun player to watch. Oh, man, I wanted to trade him, but now I'm off. I'm out on that. Now we got to keep this guy. He had a couple bad series against a team that he historically plays poorly against in the Denver Nuggets in the playoffs, which is you run into the Nuggets, you're probably going to lose any damn way. But the playoffs, had some good games in those playoffs too that nobody talks about. He actually played well. Was it game 3 or something like that? He played well. We only lasted 5 games. Overall, he didn't perform well against the Denver Nuggets, as he never does. And now everybody who said they were on board with keeping him wanted him gone again. Salute the Kobe minute that just passed. I am more so leaning into what I saw against him, not against him, what I saw from him during the trade deadline right now. While everybody else is looking at him saying, man, he can't play well in the playoffs. He's a regular season player. We got 82 regular season games ahead, man. This is exactly what you want D'Angelo Russell. This is when he plays well. I think D'Angelo Russell is going to be somebody to look for to play better than expected at this point. I'm not saying he's going to make an all-star team. You never know what health will bring. But if all things are equal, I expect D'Angelo Russell to have people right back on his bandwagon saying he's the best thing ever very, very soon. I expect it. He does tend to go on these lulls. It's a wave with him, up and down, up and down, up and down. But you can't deny he can get hot, man. Nobody can deny he's a precision passer of the highest order. He really is. He has a gift for that. He can put the ball through tight windows. Probably should have been an NFL quarterback. The dude is really, really good at some things that you really, really can't teach. And his defense, all things considered, was improved, especially in the second half of last year. We saw him do some good things defensively. He does have a knack for stealing the ball with his cat-like quickness with his hands. So when I look at D'Angelo Russell, I say the coach is now going from Darvin Ham, who was Darvin Ham and all the things that came with that, to J.J. Redick, who is a shooter, who will likely be able to create plays and opportunities for D'Angelo Russell to shoot the ball that maybe weren't available last year. I think there's optimism for a good D'Angelo Russell start to the season, or at least somewhere down the road, him playing his value up into a space where we can trade him for something that we would like. I just think people are low on him, rightfully so, but I know better than to look at the player D'Angelo Russell, who moves in waves as it pertains to his production, never consistent, and just suddenly think that he's who he usually is when he's low, if that makes any sense. If we're on a low wave with him, why would I not expect him to go back up to a high wave if he's always inconsistent in that way? The high wave is coming, and I'm not going to fall victim to the moment when it comes to D'Angelo Russell like I think the majority of the NBA is doing right now. He's an inconsistent player, meaning you're never gonna always see him be anything. If he's playing bad, you can best believe that 40-point game is coming. That 8 3-point game is coming. If he's hitting that 8 3-point game, you can best he's gonna go back down and scoring 8 points somewhere soon. You can't fall in love with believing that any one wave with this guy is who he's going to be. He's the wave itself. It goes up and down and up and down and up and down. So I expect an up. I think most people have him pegged as the low wave D-Lo, and I just know better. I literally know better. So he's going to play some people value up, his value up. He's going to play some people back onto his bandwagon, and I'm getting ahead of that. I'm not down on D'Angelo Russell as it pertains to him getting back on that high wave. Not at all. What else, man? LeBron and AD are going to be great. Hopefully they stay healthy. When it comes to these guys, I mean, they're Pantheon greats. I think we're spoiled by the nature of understanding that we have these players. I think their numbers are somewhat minimalized by the idea that they play with one another. That's another thing. I think Anthony Davis's scoring numbers particularly would be up way higher if LeBron wasn't on the team. I'm just going to be honest with you. If he was the go-to guy every night and he didn't have no other option, I think there's a chance you see Anthony Davis's numbers scoring the ball probably average up to almost 25, 30 points a game. It's just, he's not a B player. He's not, in my humble opinion, a Robin. He's a Batman. But because you have LeBron James on the team, who's the Batman of all Batmans, even if you are a Batman, you're going to be a Robin. And so when you have two Batmans, it's almost like one of those situations where you take them for granted and they have to make sacrifices for one another. So it also brings them down in a way. And I think that's kind of what we've seen. People almost play Anthony Davis, and I'm going to say this with complete and utter respect for the player I'm about to mention, because I know what type of a monster he was. But it's almost like people think Anthony Davis is Chris Bosh out here. He's not. He's a much greater player than Chris was. With respect to Chris, who was great in his own right. But this is a much higher level player than the role players that LeBron has been pegged to play with over the course of his career. He's a higher level player than Kevin Love. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing. Obviously, Dwayne Wade, totally different story. I'm not comparing Anthony Davis to Dwayne Wade right now. I got too much respect for the greatness of both of them. But what I will say is Anthony Davis is a Batman. And so when it comes to that type of thing, I just feel like at any moment, Anthony Davis can have a stretch of basketball games where he goes into that Pantheon great Anthony Davis space where he's giving you 60 points, 25 boards, 8 blocks, now 10 assists. I would not at all be surprised if we see Anthony Davis's greatest basketball game this season. I would not at all be surprised, because it's been some years since he's been able to step into that stretch. We have seen glimpses of it, but nothing like you saw in New Orleans. And I think he's in the best shape he's been in since he was in New Orleans, because he exited last season healthy. He went into the season last year in the best conditioning of his life, and then he played in the Olympics this year where he's in game shape right now. He's been taking care of himself over the last 4 years, and he's turned himself into somebody who you can count on to stay healthier than he's been given credit for being. So I think we're going to see, there's a decent chance you see peak Anthony Davis this year. And if ever there was a year he could get the MVP, I wouldn't be surprised if he's vying for it this year. Remember what I said. It's the hottest take there is. This is a scorching hot take. But I think Anthony Davis, knock on wood for health, which is not the greatest bet with him, but like I said, he's been good in that way. If ever there was a year where I expect Anthony Davis to show us glimpses of New Orleans Anthony Davis, it's with the conditioning that I believe he's going into this season with. So, Lord, please keep this guy healthy so he can do that. Please keep him healthy so he can do that. Because I think this is the year. I think this could be the year we see Anthony Davis in a better way. We always known Anthony Davis to be great. This is when this is the year in my mind where he could potentially separate himself from being a great Laker player that's going up in the rafters and being somebody that you're like, all right, if he has 2 or 3 more seasons like this, and he can get us some championships. Like, that's the type of Anthony Davis season that I think we could be secretly stepping into 24-25. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. Health is always something. He does have these lulls where he doesn't score the ball. But I think with the coach that you're bringing in, J.J. Redick, who's already said he wants him to be an offensive hub, and then you consider how Anthony Davis has improved in passing the ball and making assists happen. He's gotten much better passing out of double teams. I think that opens up his offensive game. And I look at J.J. Redick as a great study, and I think J.J. Redick is going to study certain things that didn't work for Darvin Ham in regards to Anthony Davis, is how we showcased him, how we got him the ball. And I think Anthony Davis could potentially have higher usage with Coach Redick than with Darvin Ham, because Darvin Ham tend to let things be offense by committee, letting everybody from Taurean Prince to Jackson Hayes get like 6 and 7 shots a game. And I think typically in most coaching situations, when you have a Batman, other guys have to take steps back. I don't think you see as many shots from some of these other role players and some of our other starters as much as you're going to see Anthony Davis be more of a focal point in our offense than he's ever been before as a hub, as JJ said. So if he's going to be a hub and we're going to get rid of this offense by committee, everybody gets 10 shots crap, then you can expect Anthony Davis to get more looks consistently, and his scoring numbers should naturally go up from there. So that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm optimistic that our coaching situation can have a positive impact on the roster, because some of the stuff that Darvin did was kind of, as I often said, pushing some of your worst stuff to the top of the line and letting it be the focal point of what you do. And that offense by committee, everybody gets 10 shots crap, 8 away from what you would expect from an Anthony Davis from night to night basis. And then you couple that with the fact, like I said, Anthony's getting in better shape. He's conditioned better as he's continuing to change his life in that way. It just all comes together for a big Anthony Davis year. So that's what I'm expecting. Got to get over the hump and beat people like Jokic if he's ever going to win an MVP in his life, though. If you can't beat Jokic and Sabonis, you ain't winning no MVP. But I do think that we're going to have our chances, and I think that Anthony Davis should expect that his body's going to react well to the conditioning that he's been putting upon himself, so long as he's taking care of himself right now. Olympics is over. Don't go back to eating burgers and all that. Take care of yourself right now. Stay in game shape and come in October ready to go, man. And if he does that, and if he's in the shape that I think he's going to be in, I would tell people look out for Anthony Davis' scoring numbers to go back up. He's going to have them games where he has 15 points and stuff like that. He's going to have those games because that's who he is in his DNA. It's like D'Lo, to like be up and down in that way. But there is a level to Anthony Davis that we've seen, particularly with New Orleans, where he got 50 points tonight, 50 points the next night, 57 the next night, 53 the next night. Like he goes to a higher level than a lot of even the Batmans in this league. He is not the worst Batman in the league, put it like that. So, yeah, we got a special player in Anthony Davis. He's already earned his way into the rafters as a number 3 going up, but this is what I think could be one of his best seasons in his career coming up this year. So that's my hot take. That's my very hot take, man. I don't think many people see that coming. And I'm saying I do. So that's pretty much what I'm thinking, man. I just want to come here and give y'all some Lakers talk. I never thought I would talk for 37 minutes going into this video, but that's really what it is, man. I got Lakers in my heart at all times, and I'm hopeful that we have a healthier season than last year, a much better coaching season than last year, and ultimately get further in the first round. You know what I mean? Get further in the first round. Things fall into place for us. Of course, the in-season tournament, try to defend our championship there. I think it's less likely we go undefeated with OKC in the group, but I said division in my last video, by the way. I meant group anytime I was saying the word division. But nevertheless, it's going to be a real season for us, man. The Western Conference is still strong, so we're going to have to come out and get a good start on the season. I think the schedule caters itself to us probably having a slow start, given the fact that we play Phoenix twice and going on an East Coast road trip in the first 12 games. But all in all, man, I do think that our Batmans are in shape. Our young players are getting older and more seasoned. Our lottery pick / 17th overall pick, Dalton Knecht, leaves us room to believe that he can contribute right away as a 4-year guy. And, I want to see the Lakers do some things. I've been on record saying I don't think we make the playoffs. If Anthony Davis has the type of season I think he could have, he could carry us to the playoffs. And it may be that he needs to play that well in order for us to get to the playoffs. But a lot of those things have an unknown aspect to it because I just don't know what JJ brings to the table. So who knows? We will see. But that's pretty much what I have to say. Ready for August to end so we can get back to Laker basketball. BDL 44. I thank y'all for watching.